Hare Krishna. I pay my obeisances to all the devotees, Guru, Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada. I'll start with Mangalacharan and then we shall resume where we left our Chaitanya Charitamrita study. Om. अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते ताप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवै गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशे तारिणे। जय श्री राधेश। गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you everyone for having me again in Chaitanya Charitamrita study class. Raman Kanai Prabhuji has put together such a niche sessions for all of us and been cherishing for years now. And of course, coming together every week, Saturday morning, to do the sessions. I guess it's morning all over the place until unless somebody is joining. Well, I think even in India at the moment is morning. So Hare Krishna. I will share my screen for the verse and I hope the screen is visible now. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we will recite a few verses, take the translation and purpose where we have. Last week, Nitya Narasimha Prabhuji was great as always. Prabhuji covered, I think, around 41 verses. I think that's a lot for somebody like myself to take the grasp on. So I have 4 verses because I think there is a theme before the next theme starts, which is very elevated, definitely much beyond me. So we will have 4 verses today and then try to have some realization and discussion based on that. Hopefully that will be the justice, the service allocated. So we'll do the very first one. But before that, Prabhuji has already done the Kirtan, but just to glorify Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaiti Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaiti Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Jaya Dvaiti Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Charitamrita ki jai. So the first verse for today, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 14, and this is the verse 154. एक कथा सुन्य प्रभुरा आनंद अपारा कहा कहा दामोदरा bale bare bare. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji felt unlimited happiness upon hearing these descriptions, and he again and again requested Sarup Damodar to continue speaking. Text 155. Damodara kahe Krishna rasika sekhara rasa aswadaka rasa maya kalevara. Translation: Damodar Goswami Ji said, Krishna is the master of all transcendental mellows and the taster of all transcendental mellows, and his body is composed of transcendental bliss. Right. Verse 156. Prema Maya Vapu Krishna Bhakta Prema Adhina Sudha Prema Rasaguna Gopika Pravina. Translation: Krishna is full of ecstatic love and always subordinate to the love of his devotees. The gopis are very much experienced in pure love and in the dealings of transcendental mellows. 157 verse. Gopikara prema nahi rasa bhasa dosha Ata eva Krishnera kare parama santosha. Translation: There is no flaw or adulteration in the love of the gopis. Therefore, they give Krishna the highest pleasure. Purport: Rasa bhasa occurs when one's relationship with Krishna is adulterated. There are different types of rasabhasa: first class, second class, and third class. The word rasa means mellow, and abhasa means a shadow. If one tastes one kind of mellow and something extra is imposed, that is upa rasa. If something is derived from the original mellow, it is class anu rasa. If something is appreciated that is far removed from the original mellow, it is called apa rasa. Uparasa, anurasa, aparasa are respectively first, second, and third class rasabhasya. Hare Krishna. There is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on this as well. And the reason, over while I started from verses 154, going forward, how long the theme and how many verses I should cover. When I reached to Rasabhasa, I thought this is such a great topic that this topic in itself is worth discussing in detail. And Prabhupada has already referred to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, where these three rasas are defined. So I thought if we take these three rasabhasa, because rasabhasa in this verse is considered as a dosha. And as we know, that one of the biggest hurdle we have in our sadhana is to get rid of offenses. if I say the doshas, and one of the dosha could be rasa bhasa dosha. So if we discuss rasa bhasa dosha today, and there are three different kinds of them, then hopefully we will get a lot more out of this particular segment of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. I will also go back to the verse, but maybe a bit of recap where we are in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where we have been discussing. We are in, so of course, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, anybody who is online and listening to it, we have Adi, the beginning, then we have the middle, Madhya, and then we have Anta, end. And in Madhya Lila, where we are on chapter 14. Within chapter 14, we have already seen the mercy on King Pratap Putra, and great, great teaching and learning we can take from a great devotee, and the exchange is Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. Then the massive prasad distribution, which we have seen for a while, before we moved on to Rath Yatra. And during Rath Yatra, a lot of miracles happen, considered as miracles for me, which of course devotees then would have seen the lila of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. But of course, a lot of miracles what could happen, like elephants couldn't move, and with the Rath Yatra. It says, I was listening to some of the lectures, and Gaurang Prabhuji is here in London in Bhaktivedanta Manor and delivered the session yesterday. Even though the session was on Bhagavatam, and but Prabhuji mentioned that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji was dancing at the front of Rath during Rath Yatra, it was not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji was taking the darshan. It was like devotees around felt like Jagannath Ji is taking the darshan, because Jagannath Ji was there on the Rath and witnessing the dance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. So not only the devotees, but Jagannath Ji, even though he did mention that, of course, Jagannath Ji, Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji are all same, but still in the form where Jagannath Ji is watching. Jagannath Ji was so much pleased just to witness the devotee exchange and Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's dance there during Rath Yatra. And then we moved on to the Vrindavan. Vrindavan Pastimes, where we are, which is the performance of Vrindavan Pastimes, which is the title of this chapter 14. Here we have reached to this section where some of the words, while I was reading, the very first one is unlimited happiness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji felt unlimited happiness. And we will discuss this a bit because Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, Krishna, as we described, there are many ways, but one of the ways, I guess, is that Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda. It's eternal conscious bliss. Eternal conscious bliss is one of those bliss which cannot, it's infinity. It cannot diminish. And it's always there because it's conscious. It's eternal. It's not dependent on time as well. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji is feeling. That Satachita Ananda, that's unlimited happiness. But why? How at that moment? By hearing. And of course, in Bhagavatam, we have heard Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So the very first thing in our devotional service is hearing. So even those devotees who are here, and most of the time we are here, we don't say anything, but we still love to get connected to these sessions just to hear. And that hearing itself gives us the pleasure, and that gives us the happiness. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji is getting. Just by hearing, we get the unlimited. It's such a beauty that the Lord has given us two ears and one mouth. And the ears, mouth we could still shut, the ears we cannot shut. And I remember I might have shared it in one of the past sessions that I remember my uni days in my university. Some of the psychology students, they used to do the trials, and they said that we would like to test on some students while they are sleeping. We will run some sessions. So there were some lectures. We will run those lectures, and next morning we would like to test them based on that. And they did. And based on the research, they found out that even during sleep, we listen, we hear, and we digest. And this is such a beauty. And of course, even in our Hare Krishna movement, we have many examples where we can see that devotees, they go in sleep while listening to Prabhupadaji's lectures. So while going to the bed, very tired and going to hit the bed and going to sleep straight away, but still would never go to the bed without having the tape on. And it's one of the Srila Prabhupadaji's lectures. So this is one of those things, one of those takeaways that if we haven't already, we continue. And even in our family, I will give the personal example. My kids, so I'm here in London. My kids are born in London, been grown up in London. Even though sometimes we speak Hindi, that's my mother language because I was born in Delhi. But the kids, they are here. They don't speak. Wherever they go, it's English here in UK. But at home, they hear. And because they used to go to Bhaktivedanta Manor, used to attend Krishna clubs, and they are familiar with even when we were in Damodar Desh in Dubai, they used to go to Krishna club there, the classes, and they hear. They heard a lot, and even now, whenever we do the sessions, they hear. When they hear, they of course remember all the Mangla Charan, they remember the shlokas, especially the Bhakti Shastri shlokas, because we tend to recite those. And now my son is 16 years old, so my wife has said that before you go to the school, as part of the morning prayers, recite those around 40 shlokas from Bhakti Shastris. I created a document, and that's where they with him. He might not understand a lot of things, but because being reciting together now, to my surprise, he is independently able to recite those shlokas. And I asked him once, well, we were doing the kids class, and he was also there. He's 16 now, so been there for a while. But I asked something from another devotee, a child, asked something, and I was about to say, and my son said, "Oh, well, is it one of those verses?" And I was very surprised that not only that he recites, but he understands that as well. So never underestimate the power of hearing and the bliss we get from there. So this is one of those things we should always be conscious that we should hear. And how we should hear? We should hear with sincerity, we should hear with the consistency, we should hear with proper consciousness, but again and again, again and again. Gauranga Prabhuji himself, not in this session, but before, he said that some devotees, we have Vishambara Prabhuji here in UK. He was, I think yesterday he said 49 years he been in the movement. So he's going to celebrate 50 years. Of course, he's much older than that. But what has changed? He said few things never change in Hare Krishna movement. For example, whenever we chant 16 rounds, we used to chant the same then. We use chant now, and we will be chanting the same. It's again and again and again and again the same. But the power of repetition. Whatever we do, it's a repetition, and we should follow that. And then Damodar Goswami ji, of course, is reciting the pastime and reciting the mellow, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji is hearing. And then, of course, he mentions that Krishna is the master of all the transcendental mellows. So whatever we could do, Rush and the words being used here, Rasika Shekhar is like the topmost. He is the master of all the rasas, and there are many rasas being mentioned in Bhagavatam, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we can go in detail. But this is where I was saying all these rasas. They could be maybe one of the sessions by Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji, who could go much in detail for the rasas to understand better. Then the taste. Taste is one of those things, whether we should get it, we shouldn't get it. If we haven't got the taste yet, what we should do to get the taste. But even moving forward, Krishna is full of static love. Now again, the static symptoms have been discussed number of times before, and they will be repeated again and again and again in Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we could deal with it, we could discuss them. But again, for somebody like myself, it could be a far-fetched that are we going to feel that? Maybe one day, but this should be spontaneous. This should be something which will come automatically after our sadhana, not straight away, not right now. But then subordinate to the love of his devotees. And Krishna has said it a number of times in number of verses, even in Bhagavad Gita, that I become subordinate to the devotees. Not that devotees would like to do it, but this is what happens. This is what happens again automatically. Whatever happens in bhakti, even to the extent that some of the devotees, they said, we cannot do bhakti. Bhakti happens. We can do a lot of other activities, and then bhakti. That's why we say bhakti bija, bhakti lata brij. The seed of the bhakti is there and the plant comes out. You can't force. You can provide the circumstances. You can nourish the soil. You can provide the sunlight, water, nutrients as much as you want. But you can't force the seed to become the sapling and become the shrub and the tree later on. It happens, we can only provide the conducive environment around. Then the gopis are very much experienced in pure love. So the next thing which has been mentioned here is the pure love. And it's a pure love. Gopis, they have it. And this is where the main focus of today's session, that this pure love, even if we remember the is a nine. Yeah, we're right at the end, we have bhava and prema when we start the ladder of bhakti. Right at the end, we have the bhava, then prema. We have the bhava. What will happen from the bhava? The prema will come. Again, it's one of those things manifested. Now, what it says in this verse, that pure love, which has been experienced by gopis, hopefully we would like to reach there. But there could be some doshas in it. That's what we have rasa bhasa dosha. So rasa bhasa. Rasa is pure rasa, but bhasa is kind of adulteration. And the word here has been used adulterated taste of mellows. It's not there, but it's there, but it's adulterated. It's not pure. But we would like to go to the pure, but it's adulterated. So what makes it adulterated? If we focus on that, then hopefully we can take care of it for the future, and then we can improve it better. So let's focus on that. And if I may, I'll stop the sharing here and try to use the whiteboard. Whiteboard is coming and it's there. All right, okay. I hope everyone could see the whiteboard. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, and this is one of the teaching from one of my Siksha gurus, which is Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji, that Nitai Narasimha Prabhuji last session did a magnificent presentation, and after that, so kindly shared the way we create presentation. And Prabhuji provided Hare Krishna. Somebody already started drawing. That's the downside of whiteboard, but it's a positive side as well. So somebody will get engaged. But Prabhuji mentioned in the chat, I think, that well, the word is rabbit hole. That don't get into the rabbit hole where spend so much on presentations. And I love presentation. All my sessions, I always have presentations as a fallback. I do Saturday for the adults and the Sunday for the kids. I always have the presentation there. But you're so right. Prabhuji mentioned that uh, don't underestimate the power of researching and creating your own presentations rather than using the AI. And of course, AI is a great tool and we all use it and should use it. But then I thought that's a great point.
Bathroom, water fee? Water fee? Bathroom?
Sure,
Water,
Prabhuji.
water, water fee?
Water free. Hare
Hmm.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please
Okay.
mute everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. I was the co-host, so I have just muted Prabhuji. We can have many different priorities there, I guess. So moving on from here where we are, what we will do, and the only thing I'm saying there are 24 participants, but there are only 19 following the whiteboard. So I hope others were able to see. Maybe on the mobile, it might be harder to see. But what we'll do, there are three different rasa bhasa, which has been mentioned. And if we will share here, so I will just mention the first one, which is apa rasa. And this is somebody who has, I would say, just started. Aparasa is where the in the verse it's been mentioned. It's been mentioned what it could be, what apa rasa could be. Now, if you see, rasa is the rasa, where we say there are three rasas, but rasa is the pure rasa. Then we have the adjective at the front, which is apa, which is anu, and then upa. And then we will go in the hierarchy. So the very first one is apa rasa. And when I say the first one, this is actually considered as the lowest one. This is where I will use some English words, maybe that will help. It's distant.
Hare Krishna,
Distant.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare,
Sorry, are
Hare
you
Krishna.
writing anything on the screen, Prabhu? Because,
I am Prabhuji.
sorry, maybe the screen is not visible. Many are writing, so the screen is like a blank screen, so not sure what is being written actually.
I have put.
You can see Prabhu.
You can
Prabhu made a
see.
box and showing Aparasa
Yes.
distant.
Can you reshare? Actually, stop and reshare because I don't know. Maybe it's not visible.
Sure,
Actually.
Prabhuji. Sure. Okay. All right, Prabhuji. I've restarted. I'm just going to create again. Can you see the?
Yes, Prabhu. We can see the screen. Actually, I can see the screen.
Okay. I have a box created, and I've just written up.
I can see the box, Prabhu, Aparasa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How about
red box.
others?
Yeah,
You can see the box and the text there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now
All
we
right.
can see, Prabhu. It's clear.
Now you can see. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for raising it. If you
I
couldn't
request
see it,
others not to keep drawing something on the screen.
thank you, Prabhuji. Okay. So this particular one is where we say, and I can zoom in, hopefully that will help, upper Sara. It's very distant and it's very unrelated. Remember, we are focusing on upper rasa. Rasa. So we are focusing on rasas, the pure love, which is the topmost, because we would like to get the prema, Krishna prema. We always say Krishna prema. And we would like to get the prema, and that rasa is there, the pure love, as been mentioned in the verse. There are three different categories been mentioned in 157 of chapter 14. And this one is where the devotees, they become devotional, but they are actually very far from it. There are lots and lots of examples of it, but one of the example could be where Falgu Vairagya, if I go that far, where we put the tilak, we put the kurta, dhoti, we go to the temple, and we are devotees now. So I never forget, I think Nitai Narasimha Mataji mentioned she's from Vishakhapatnam and she speaks many languages. And she referred to one of the Prabhuji who did a bit of research. And there is, in Delhi, there is a Loi Bazaar. So she referred to the Delhi Prabhuji, and Delhi Prabhuji, I think he said like 100, must have changed now, 145 rupees said you can become a devotee, because that's how much it used to take. It might be 300 rupees or 500 rupees now. That in those 300, 500 rupees, you can buy the dhoti and the kurta and the tilak, and then you are devotee. And this is where upsar, aparasa is. That is very, if you think about in Sanskrit, ah, ah is used for to negate, negative. So rasa is the root word, and apa, it negates it. So there is no rasa there. You are very distant, you are unrelated, but of course from the external, it looks like we are there. And then we move forward from there. If we move forward, we can create the next box, and I hope everybody could see that box as well, which I'm going to create now. Hopefully it comes up. Maybe not. Let's try this. Okay. So in this, we have the second one. Now, remember, we are moving from the bottom to the top, and then we go to the second one. And second one is Anu. And we have seen this before. Anu is part of it, right? Again, rasa is the root. Anu, we Paramatma, and we are Anu of Paramatma. We are part of it. So this is the word in English is kind of derivative, which is in simple words, it's not the full, it's the part, it's not the primary, it's the secondary. And this is what Anurasa is. This is where we feel we are there. We really, really feel we are there. And we engage ourselves in the activities. In the first one, we might not even engage in the activities. But in the second one, in Anurasa, we might engage in the activities, which is, for example, when I joined, Prabhuji said, would you like to do the kirtan? And we requested somebody to do the kirtan, and Prabhuji did the kirtan. There are lots of, now I'm not picking Sham Hari Prabhuji, then we pranams to Prabhuji. Prabhuji did a great service. But many devotees, well, not even say devotees, but many people, they get into Krishna consciousness because they are musical. They are musical, and we actually encourage them. So we do functions at our home, and I know some of the friends who are musical. So I invite them. Recently, we had a live band in our place, and two of the devotees, they joined, two of the friends, they joined, and we did the spiritual music, spiritual kirtan, spiritual aartis, spiritual bhajans, and they loved it, Now, when they were there, they are not even devotees yet, but know us for a while now. But now take it even further. A lot of devotees been there for a while, and rather than the main lecture, they enjoy more the kirtan. Nothing wrong in that. But enjoying the music, the melody, the atmosphere, more than Krishna himself, It's like feeling emotional in Kirtan, but not developing the service attitude. So that's where I'm differentiating these two things. That's where Anu Rasa. Rasa is where the service attitude will come. Rasa will come when not only that we want to enjoy, but we want Krishna to enjoy. Why we are doing this musical activity? Not because we feel ecstatic, but because we would like Krishna to be pleased. Right? So that's where the difference of Anurasa is. We enjoy, we do Krishna conscious activities. People see, people glorify us, we humbly accept it, but service attitude is missing. So it's there because we are there in the activities, and it's actually encouraged, considering if somebody is there distant, it's better to be in secondary, better to do a beautiful poem on the chanting, and which is even if you fall down, even if you do wrongly, even if you don't have conducive, even if your consciousness is not clean, still chant, still chant, still chant. The full poem is there online if somebody would like to. I think the recital is still chant, still chant, still chant. But continue chanting. There isn't anything there which is missing. We should. Why? Why we should do it, even though we are not pure yet, even though we are in Anurasa, because we would like to get to the next level. And when we get to the next level, this is probably the topmost. And remember in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 14, verse 157, this has been mentioned. And this is Uparasa. Now we know Uparasa, Upa, because we do Upavasa. Upavas is where Upa is near. Upavasa, where we go near to the Lord, near to the devotee, near to the service. That's what Upavasa is. And here Uparasa is going near to the Rasa. But again, remember all three of them, they are Rasa Bhasa. They all three fall into Rasa Bhasa, and there are different grades. So maybe Anurasa is better than Aparasa, but Uparasa is better than Anurasa. But it's still Rasa Bhasa, which means it's still an obstacle. And this could be where devotees they chant, well, we chant, but we are thinking something else. So it's could be Mishrit. We always say Mishrit Bhakti. Bhakti is there, but it's always tint of hidden, hidden agenda is there. And I will say for myself, we have it. And I would say thank you to Raman and Kanai Prabhuji. Whenever we introduce a new facilitator who is going to take the session, we always glorify a lot. I don't know about others, but I used to get glorified. My false ego will get boosted when people say, oh, this and that, which is great if you're materially. I say I do mentorship sometimes materially, and somebody was in touch and said, well, when I go to interviews, I feel very nervous. And one of the things I said that before you go to the interview, read your own CV, because your CV is boosted with what you have achieved in your life, right? And that's the reason they are interviewing you. And the person came back and person said, really? When I read the CV, I thought, wow, this person is great. And when devotees glorify each other, sometimes, well, I have felt it most of the time. Hence, I requested Prabhuji not to do that. And Prabhuji, thank you so much for that. But I feel like that could be here, Uparasa, where we do the service, but then we start taking a bit of pride, a tinge of pride. Remember, this is closer. This is closer to the pure rasa, pure love. But at the end of the day, this is still Mishrit. And the bhakti is there, but something else is added to it. False pride, And whenever people come around and praise you, or our own agenda, we go deliver great sessions. We love it. We go, we do the great kirtans, and we love it. We do a lot of service. Unfortunately, I would say that in manner when people service, they come around and they glorify their services. Then I thought, well, it's of course it's okay and it's good to do the service for sure. But then do we need to glorify? Or should we be humble and thankful enough for the Lord to give us that opportunity to do the service? That's why whenever, it doesn't really matter if I'm not in the plane, if I'm not traveling, which I do a lot, or whenever Prabhuji comes, would you like to take this session? I say thank you so much, because like what Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji said, that it's not, well, hopefully we will have some takeaways here, but when I prepare, whatever time I get purified. As I said, verse 157, when I was doing it, and I thought, wow, yeah, I never noticed that these things are there in me as well. So we should always be focused. And these are the basics, because that's where we would like to get on to. And we can go and we can say a lot more. There are many more examples I can share. But before I go any further, anyone else has anything to add on any of those things? Or feel free, we can open for questions. I always say we don't even need to wait for the questions till end. But this is a great time. We still have a few minutes left. Anyone would like to add anything? Okay. While we are thinking about it, I will share an example. So the example is a real example shared in the movement by somebody in one of the lectures. Is the sweet rice offering, kheer we call it. So once a devotee was asked to cook sweet rice for Krishna, kheer we offer it, and of course kheer chor is one of the names there. Yeah, so he used the best milk, sugar, cardamom. He cooked with so much care, chanted. Externally, all those who were around, everything looked so perfect. But while cooking, the devotee kept thinking that today everyone is going to praise me. This devotee, after many years, shared his own example. He said, when I started cooking many years back, this is what I used to feel, that I'm the best cook in the temple, and my kheer, everybody loves it. And then later on, when he started reading, remember, we all get into not by reading, most of us, we get it by engaged in service. So this Prabhuji got the cooking service. People really liked his prasadam. But later on, when he reached to this place, he realized that when the offering was made, it looked like devotion, but internally it was mixed. And he said, later on, I realized it was the rasa dosha. The rasa was there, the devotion was there, but there was a big, big ego in it. And the offering reached Krishna, but it didn't purify internally. And the whole idea is to purify ourselves. Purified consciousness needs to be there. And on this point, I would like to rephrase, not even rephrase, I will quote Prabhuji from Gaurang Prabhuji from yesterday. While answering somebody's question, he said that remember, the destination, and I hope I have that link. I hope I'm using his words, that remember, destination is not Krishna. Destination is not Krishna. Destination is Krishna consciousness. And we mention it a number of times. That's the reason Srila Prabhupada put together International Society of Krishna Consciousness. So do we need to reach Krishna? But if we don't have that consciousness, what will happen? Or even if we won't reach Krishna, we have that consciousness like gopis did. We shared the example that the pure love gopis have. hardly they saw Krishna once Krishna left. But still we take the example of Krishna, not the example of Pandavas or many more who were there with them, but the example of gopis whenever the pure rasa comes in. Because of the consciousness, because Krishna was there with them in their consciousness, they didn't have any of those abhasa, right? Their rasa was a pure rasa. And Srila Prabhupada ji, of course, said it many times, the pure bhakti. You should be conscious before you could become Krishna conscious. So we should enjoy the prasadam, we should enjoy the music, but we should always remember that whom we are serving, who is the bhokta yagya tapasa, who is the one who is bhoging all of that. Whether we do the book distribution, whether we go forward and do any kind of service, we should always remember that this is where we are. And there could be many other examples taken, and we are right at the end of it. Before I mention that, I will raise up to any questions again. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments, any views at all? Anyone got? I kept it simple. It's supposed to be. I guess it could be, if you think about it, it could be very detailed. If you go and we say that we would like here, so if I mention, so the way I did it, if I'm there, VP Govinda Das, and then go forward, we would like to reach here, which is, I'll say, Krishna Prema. Right? What I need to do, my consciousness needs to be pure. And it's all about that consciousness. And it's this is pure consciousness. And whether we go Upanishads, Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu.
please.
Prabhu, do these rasas correlate with like the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhya Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari, like that? Because the levels of devotion,
Yes.
because the
Yes.
upper rasas, anurasas, and the last one, the uparasa,
Yes.
do they correlate with that?
They do, Prabhuji. Thank you for that. In many places, it's been mentioned that these categories of devotees, they are there, and their categories are based on different criteria. So even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have 3 different categories. In Bhagavatam, we have other categories as well. One of the session I heard where 3 different categories at least were mentioned, based how we categorize. By the end of the day, these categorizations are mainly for us, not for others. But very valid point, Prabhuji, that if we like to categorize ourselves, not other devotees, but ourselves, if we would like to categorize where we are, then we could do it. And but to keep it simple, if we just keep it ourselves neophyte, we could do it. Why do we want to categorize others? All other devotees, we always consider, and this is coming from Maharaj Ji, that all other devotees we should consider as Uttam Adhikari, and we should always consider ourselves as neophyte. So we never categorize other devotees, but we do categorize ourselves. And you're right, Prabhuji, that based on these, we could do it. And this is where whichever service on daily basis we do, we need to recite this. Whenever we do the kirtan next time, whenever we do this, deliver the session next time, or cook for Krishna, when we think about it, that are we doing it for ourselves or really doing it for Krishna? That because we would like to. Now, this doesn't correlate here, but what I'm saying is that this is where we would like to be. And Krishna consciousness, Krishna prema is much higher. But we are here. What we need to do is, so if everything we do is where we need to purify the consciousness. Thank you so much for that, Prabhuji. With that, I was just
Thank you, Prabhu.
thinking, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anyone, now I know there are lots of Guru Maharaj's God brother and God sisters here. His Holiness Jai Pataka Swamiji Guru Maharaj. Anybody remembers that how the very first service Guru Maharaj Ji did in the movement. Very first service. Maharaj Ji mentioned that, Guru Maharaj Ji mentioned that in one of his books. I forgot the name. I think Gauranga. The book is titled Gauranga. In that, Maharaj Ji mentioned which first service he did. And that service he didn't do, somebody asked him to do. And then he didn't know, he just did it. He was a teenager, I think, then. Because he landed just like sorry, Mataji?
You helped Ratayatra Prabhu chariot for
Hare
Jayananda
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji, for that. Yes, yeah. So great. This is what devotees do. It's just asked, oh, well, you are there. Could you please help me? And could you please start putting the nail in this ratha? And Maharaj Ji did it. And that was the very first thing Guru Maharaj Ji did it, which he didn't realize. But obviously later on, he said that Prabhuji, Mataji mentioned the name as well, and Maharaj Prabhuji, like, just ask for that simple thing. And then maybe at that time, very distant, unrelated, don't know anything about it. But then the capacity was there, the opportunity was there. And then Guru Maharaji obviously took that opportunity, and he is where he is inspiring millions of us. But where we are, it's a self journey where we are. I think we should be more conscious that whether our consciousness is getting purified or not. One thing which I mentioned before, the word says in 154th verse, unlimited happiness. One of the Prabhuji said that Krishna is Satyachit Ananda, and that's the reason I mentioned. Krishna is Satyachit Ananda, eternal bliss already. You cannot give more. By definition is eternal. We cannot give more happiness to Krishna. Whatever we do, we can get happy. We cannot do that. However, if our consciousness is pure enough, what we can do, so remember, I always say that Krishna has always given the mercy. Guru Maharaj Ji has always given the mercy. We don't see, well, we can see the mercy, but the mercy is already there. How much more we need? It's already there, whatever we need. We need to work on ourselves because it's our own consciousness which is impure. If it's our consciousness to impure, of course, we need to be in association because association encourages, inspire, engage in the service. So the service attitude develops. And during the service, kind of karma yoga, we do more service, we read more jnana, and then sometimes, well, chanting, which could be a dhyana. The all different routes we take, the whole idea is to, at the end of the day, to purify the consciousness. Impure consciousness will get purified, and then we will able to become Krishna consciousness. Then we will able to stay in that consciousness, hopefully 24/7. And then we will say we don't have rasabhasya in us. Hare Krishna. There could be a lot more. So this is what we have discussed on the left, and this could be a takeaway on the right, that what we could do and analyze ourselves on the daily basis. So I just wanted to share this again. If anyone would like to add anything to it, if there is any question on it, I think we are right at the end of it. And I will just stop here. Thank you so much. I wanted to keep it just one point, one session, so it hit hard. So we take it home rather than covering a lot of session. I will never able to do what Nitya Narasimha Prabhuji did last week, 41 verses in one session. And he was bang, bang, bang. He was great, amazing. A lot of sessions, a lot of takeaways from there as well. But one takeaway, and if you can work on that, in today's session, I think it could help us to get a bit better. It's a journey. Take one step to complete 1,000 steps journey. One step forward. Be conscious every time in everything we do. Then hopefully we will able to, well, say it's a self-realization. It's a self-realization process to purify ourselves. So I'll stop there. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhe Shyam, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. All the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
Jai
Prabhu,
Shri.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Then we pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. as usual, your section is hatke from a regular routine session and very informative and interactive session also. Thank you very much for your usual way of and nicely summarized the topic on Rasabhasa, dividing into you taken very nice gist from Bhakti Sindhu, what Goswami was highlighting about this Rasabhasa. Very beautifully explained about Aparasa, Anurasa, and Uparasa. So, though we heard these terms quite often, but never had an opportunity or occasion to deep dive into that. So, thank you very much for it is kind of a back to basics to refresh whatever we studied long ago during our Bhakti Shastri time, and so it is very nice, Prabhu. So just to have give clarification, these are gradations of Rasabhasa. So as we grow, our disturbance in our rasa should become like a minimize. So that's where we reach Uparasa. Not when you say it is a highest grade of Rasabhasa, doesn't mean that it is highest grade of disturbance. So one should not think it is actually minimizing as we grade, as Prabhu has rightly mentioned, from where we are to where we want to reach ultimately Krishna Prema. So it's a nice explanation, Prabhu. Thank you so much for this. Devotees have any questions, comments?
That's the best
Hare
part,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. So, Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhu. How do we define these grades of devotion? Because it's all about different mellows. When you're talking about the taste of one mellow to the other, when it has been added, or either you add with something, or it's completely derived from something. So how do we grade these?
So
Or
these are
it's
the. Sorry, go on, Prabhuji,
yes, Prabhu.
please. It's all right. Prabhuji, you go on. You wanted to add a bit more?
No, see because all these are like different mellows. The rasa bhashas are different mellows, and it is getting different grades. Like if one is tasting one kind of mellow and something extra is imposed on it, so it becomes one kind of rasa.
Yes.
And then if something is derived from the original mellow, then it is one type of rasa. The second one which you mentioned, or
Yes.
and the third one is like being closer to the supreme. So once it is closer to the supreme, so how are these getting graded as in terms of devotion?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So the very first thing which Prabhuji also just clarified, that we need to get rid of all three. We should not have any of those. These are rasa bhasas. So they all three, if I say, are impurities. We should not have any of those. But as we grow progressive, we are sadhakas, we are practitioners. As we practice, like pick any sports, we get better and better and better. And those who love kirtans, then we get better and better, and devotees, they perfect themselves. Similarly, think of the consciousness. The very first time we get into uparasa, because we get into aparasa, which is distorted, very distant. We just got into, and hopefully with all of us, we remember the very first time when we got into it. Like took the example of Guru Maharaj, even the very first time Guru Maharaj did the service of just putting the nail in the rath, he was distant. He didn't even know anything about Hare Krishna movement. And then I guess that wouldn't have happened with Guru Maharaj Ji, but then it happens to most of us, where we get into later in our bhakti, byproduct happens. We are doing it, but the byproduct is there. We would like to have something else. So in our bhakti, the very first thing you ask for the gradations, the names, these all three are gradations. But we should remember that we need to get rid of all three. They are actually not rasas, they are not mellows, they are the impurities towards the mellows. Well, of course, the rasa, it says rasa bhasa. So they are the bhasa, which is the reflection on rasa. They are not pure rasa at all. We should not have any of those three, but gradual process. So we tend to have it one or two, and then slowly, gradually, we should get better. Aparasa, when we are far away, hopefully none of us would have aparasa because we are in the movement now. Anurasa, which is part and parcel, but uparasa could be because we've been doing service for a while. So maybe we have uparasa where we do it, people glorify for our service and we love it. We should not have that. So that's how I could understand. But don't connect these to the devotion as such. Consider all three of them as impurities and try to get rid of that. Did I answer your question, Prabhuji?
Okay, bro. Thank you, bro. Yeah, but
Okay.
individually, when the self-practitioner devotee cannot realize at initial stages in which Russia, or even if there are some bhashas, I mean to say some impurities involved, one cannot realize. Uh, but as they closely associate with senior devotees and do their practices, it can be removed, right?
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Prabhuji. The example of kheer, that Prabhuji who started doing the cooking for the temple, he didn't know that he was in this Rasabhasa until he sat down for the lecture and this session came. Then he realized while I was cooking and I was in the false prestige that people going to like mine. And he said, while I was cooking, I wasn't even bothered about the devotees or the Krishna. I just knew that I'm good cook and people going to glorify me. That was the whole concept. He himself said that. And then you're right, only when we get associated with devotees, we hear the lectures, we understand it, then we realize where we are and then we improve better. Kind of gyan. So where we get the wisdom and we improve ourselves. So you're right, it's a realization, self-realization, but we have to hear from someone. Thank you for that, Prabhuji. Anyone else?
To
Please.
also further understand based on the examples what you've given three examples for each rasabhasa. First one is aparasa. You said the example of to become a devotee we need some 124 rupees or something you said.
Yes.
So it is only external. If you have money, some money, so become a devotee. So that is a very basic level of consciousness, but the highest disturbance in our rasa. So it means we don't have any attraction or any mood. So slightly elevated from that is you give example of kirtan. So like somebody is doing a nice kirtan, participating in this, but there is no service attitude. The mood of service attitude is missing, but they are participating in the kirtan. So that is a kind of a slightly less disturbance or slightly elevated level of rasabhasa, which is anurasa, you said. Then finally you said uparasa, which is a beautiful example you told about doing kheer for Krishna. But at the end, the slight subtle desire is to get the praise, glorification. Wow, Prabhu, kya class diya Prabhu. So it's a general tendency. We give class, but what is the ultimate mood? Like people should glorify, people should praise. So though we are elevating in our kind of rasabhasa, but as you rightly mentioned, all the three should be avoided. Though it is the highest level, it is very close to uparasa, is very close to the perfection, but still that is to be avoided. So with these three examples, I think we can understand much better.
Right. Very nicely summarized, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for that. Indeed. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhu, if there are no any questions, maybe you can conclude.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. Then we pronounce to all the devotees. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare
So
Krishna.
we'll stop the session here and then we'll continue. Next week.